Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We got today. We are yeah. Here it is. My name is Mario Hardy, aka DJ Rat. I almost forgot my name. Mario name Mario Hardy, aka DJ Rat Top, and we have Tish Joyner here.
Good
What's going
morning,
on, Tish?
everybody.
All right. So today we are pretty much this. Of course, coming up is April, and April is that time frame where a lot of people are starting to make plans for their weddings. This April is the kind of pretty much the big month that I guess you could say the wedding season starts.
Hmm.
It kind of like is a pre, it's kind of like a pre-open one on um,
The months of May, June, July, August, September.
right. No, just I'm looking at a little comment just popped up. It kind of threw me off. Hold on, let me share the comment. Did you see the comment?
Okay. Thank you. I read lipstick, baby.
It kind of threw me off. Like what? Like okay, and what's going on, Ron? And then we also got Ron with us this morning. Um,
Good
but
morning, Ryan.
pretty much, April is a time frame where the wedding season starts to really begin, and this is where customers, if they haven't already got um, if they already haven't got their wedding planner, their coordinators, the vendors, the venues, they're now jumping through hoops to get it done because technically, if you have let's say a summer wedding or a fall wedding, you're already behind the power curve of booking your vendor, your especially your venue.
Yes.
So it's kind of one of those things. So what we want to do is we're going to start a series where we define the jobs of the different people that get involved, and we're specifically looking at weddings with this series. Is the different job titles that go along with the individuals that are supposed to be utilized for this process. Some people use them,
Hmm.
some people don't. But we wanted to kind of like define each and every job. And in some cases, we're going to be able to kill a lot of these assumptions because there's a lot of bad assumptions in our career field, or I should say on the services that we on the event planning services, event services,
Hmm.
all these different things. And we really want to highlight the difference between the ones or the different individuals. And I want to say what's supposed to happen versus what actually happens. And Ron says there's a lot of job titles. Oh yes, there's quite a
Yeah.
few. There's quite a few. So today's episode is going to be more so focused on, and I'm even afraid to even say this one. We have, here we go, event planner, wedding planner, and wedding coordinator. There is a difference for all three of them, even though
Absolutely.
that some of them can do some of the other ones' responsibilities and duties. There is a different definition, and the reason why I said it in that order is to define the difference on the level. The event planner, um, the event planner,
Facilitator. Hmm.
yeah, facilitator. We're going to talk about that one too, Ron. Um, the event planner is designed. He or she is designed to cover down for everything, corporate and social events. A wedding planner is responsible for planning the entire from the beginning to end of a wedding.
Hmm.
A wedding coordinator is the one that shows up maybe 30 days prior and
Hmm.
takes charge of what's going to happen for the wedding.
After
All
the clients have done most of the work.
right after the client has done most of the work. There is a big difference in all three of them. The level of training, certifications, education is
Experience.
actually is designed by each title. And the biggest title is event planning because normally if you are an event planner, normally, keyword, normally,
Hmm. Not
normally you
always.
not always, you have an actual college degree to go with that title. And that's what Ron was saying, facilitator. Most of the time, an event facilitator falls into that category because
Hmm.
job requirement, that job position requires them to have a degree. and event planning.
There you
Now,
go.
that is the big one. That's the big portion of the umbrella. The next level, because the event planner can do all corporate and social, which wedding falls under social events.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so that kind of covers, that's the big part of the umbrella. Then we get into the wedding planner.
Planner. Mm-hmm.
The wedding planner
Their tunnel vision focus is on weddings.
is only on weddings.
Mm-hmm.
Their television is only weddings, but everything that goes on with a wedding, they're supposed to be able to coordinate all the details of the logistics, the from the beginning to the end.
No,
So
no, no, not a coordinator.
no, I said they coordinate
Oh yeah,
all the
gotcha.
logistics. That's it.
That day.
No.
That
The
day.
wedding planner, like I said, it coordinates all the logistics.
Okay, but then you said wedding coordinator.
No, I said wedding planner, but I said, but they coordinate.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't say, yeah, I
I
didn't
heard
say
the word
wedding coordinator. I said
coordinator. I thought it going with
so the
coordinator.
wedding
Sorry.
planner. I was saying that's why I've got to be very careful on the words I choose.
Yeah, I know because I heard coordinator. I started going with
Right.
coordinator.
I
List.
said the wedding planner coordinates all the logistics.
That's correct.
So that means that they are involved in the process.
Yes.
So
And Ron's comment, yes, they can be, but there also can be two separate bodies that do their services because they actually have two different definitions.
no,
as to
right.
what
That's
they
what I'm
are.
saying. The wedding. That's a keyword now. Focus. We're on wedding planner now.
Yeah. No, I
Wedding
was just
planner.
answering Ron's thing. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I was just responding to Ron's comment.
what does he say? Wedding planner can also be. Yeah, but that's a small. We don't want to confuse him, Ryan. We don't want to confuse him. We, like I said, we sat here. We
just
kind of went
confused
through these
me.
definitions, and this is the problem that we have is that so many people misunderstand these definitions,
Mhm.
and we actually had to go to the textbook and go and pull out that information. So let's go ahead and the reason why I'm starting at the very top of the umbrella
Mhm.
and going all the way down. The wedding coordinator is the lowest level
Mhm.
because the coordinator is only responsible for a short period of time, where a wedding planner is responsible for the entire time.
Yep.
So that's what makes them different. Now, a wedding planner can do a wedding coordinator's job, but a wedding coordinator can't do a wedding planning's job.
That's correct.
Yeah, I think a lot of us wear different hats.
He's about 16. He gave us very specific number,
Yeah,
16.
16. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. And that's one of the things that we have to is, and I think this is what's complicated because we are in this industry and we have a hard time defining these things to the customer. And I think this is where the customer needs to really understand the difference.
Yes.
Because when you hire somebody and you sign up on their contract, if in the contract it doesn't go into the details of whatever it is they're going to do, then you have to understand what level of services that you're going to get.
That's correct.
So today and I know each subject we talk about for the next couple of, like for the month of April, I think they're all of them gonna get beat down because it's like this for every single job that deals with event services. We were talking about the DJ thing. There's so many different levels of different types of DJs. Oh my God, I don't even want to top that one, but there's so many different ones. But today we are focused on the wedding, the event planning, wedding planning, and wedding coordinator.
That's right.
So what we're
Right,
going to
let's
do
go
is
with
we're going to pull up.
event planner.
Right. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to pull up
The slideshow.
actual book definition of a wedding coordinator, which is the lowest level in this planning realm that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. So let's share this. Boy,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
telling you,
I keep
I'm already
laughing
getting a
because
headache. I'm
like,
like,
we're gonna get so pinged for this one because
I
people are
know,
like,
because it's
what
like,
do you mean?
so that's why we have to go to the book definition on this one because it's like we have to do. I mean, we really have to go to the book definition because it's the only way we're going to stay out of trouble.
Yeah. We still gonna be in trouble, but
We're
not as
still
much.
going to be in trouble because we shared it. But we're going to go ahead and do this. So, with that being said,
You want me to read it?
I'm gonna put it up here. Go ahead.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. Got that
And
sound
I'm gonna get
effects.
the
Go ahead.
developer. So, what is a wedding coordinator? A wedding coordinator assists a couple on their wedding day and ensures the event progresses according to plan. Wedding coordinators alleviate stress during both the final planning days of the wedding and the actual wedding day by focusing on the logistics. That's important, logistics. Wedding coordinators often start their work a month or two before the function or the supervisors during the event.
Now that's important. That is extremely important for everybody to understand that that portion of it is it defines the time. Like I said, coordinator only gets involved like a month or two prior, which is technically a good enough time to do all this. But that's a coordinator. A planner is there the entire time from the beginning to the end.
Meaning from the first vendor that you talk to or venue visit you go to the day of the event when everything shuts down.
Right.
That's the way, because coordinators can leave
Right.
after
And
all
then
the big
most of the
stuff.
time, a wedding. Right.
They
Well,
usually
see, and
leave.
that's one of the things that people understand is that the planner is also part of the hiring in some cases of the vendors.
Mm-hmm.
They make recommendations on who's the best for the job. A coordinator that's already been done. So they're just actually touching bases with them to find out what it is, what services and what they're providing, and
Mm-hmm.
coordinating the logistics. Because at this point in time, a coordinator's hands are tied. If you hire cousin Jumba to be the DJ, they have no choice but to go with cousin Jumba.
And Uncle Irvin
But
and
as
them
a
to do
wedding
the food.
planner, a wedding planner can come in and say, "You right." So a wedding planner would come in and say, "No." Plus, you have enough time to make adjustments. No, you can't hire cousin Jumba because cousin Jumba doesn't have the right type of equipment. Blah blah blah. Doesn't go along with this, and so forth. So that's the different levels. Because when you get a coordinator is limited on the type of problems they can resolve and fix. They cannot really get in. Like, say, only thing they can do is work with what you gave them. A planner, in other hands, has a little bit more. Again, they're going to go what your vision is. They're going to do what you as a customer wants. But at the same time, they have a lot more time to help you coordinate the right services, the right logistics for your wedding day.
Very
So
true.
are we good on? So we good on this one. So we go to the
Well,
next
not
one.
quite. Let's go back to logistics for a second. Let's kind of explain what we mean by
Okay.
logistics. So, logistics is basically, um, okay. So, as a wedding coordinator, you sit down with the clients and go, okay, well, we've hired the planner. Oh, no, we've hired the photographer, the DJ, the caterer. We have this venue. We have this videographer. So, the coordinator is supposed to come in and actually scheduling based on the contract time periods, meaning, and that's the logistics part, meaning if the DJ is a six
Right.
hour booking or an 8 hour booking, then you know that they need to arrive. If you have to find out if that includes their arrival time, because most DJs need about an hour and a half to 2 hours for setup, depending on how many aspects they're covering. Which, if it's a regular situation with a wedding, they're doing the ceremony, cocktail hour, and reception. So you got to allow them time to set up all of those things. Minimum should be probably about 2 hours or 3 hours for setup. So you got to find out if that block of time that they have in their contract covers their setup time, or is that once they're set up, their time starts. That's a part of coordinating the logistics of it. So you have to know if the wedding starts at 4 and the cocktail hours at 4:30 and the reception starts at 5:30, then you need to make sure that your DJ is going to be there at a reasonable amount of time to get set up for all those things. All those things could be in one room, 2 rooms, 3 rooms, two different locations. All of those things matter. Those are the logistics. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
So those are the things when we say logistics, or to use it, a recent wedding that we had together a few months back, not recent, but a wedding we had a few months back. The photographer. If you only book a photographer for 4 hours or 6 hours or 8 hours, that includes your pre-ceremony stuff, your ceremony stuff, your after ceremony pictures, your beginning of your reception. Then they could be out. So that coordinator needs to figure out logistics of when they need to arrive, what time they're going to be leaving, so they can make sure they have all of that down pat. Because you have to know when your clients, when your vendors are going to be there and when they're leaving, to make sure you get all of those important shots in, things of that nature. Those are the logistics that we're talking about. Go ahead.
And
Now
then
we're good.
okay, then also to add to that logistic portion of it, it's also is to deconflict time issues. And when I say deconflict, it's like if you have a venue to where there's only one door to get into that venue, you don't
Mm-hmm.
want everybody showing up to get into that one door. You might have the decorators first one in because most time the decorator needs the most time. So you'll
Mm-hmm.
schedule the decorator to arrive at 9 o'clock. Then you give like, okay, the DJ, you need your 3 hour requirement. So I need you can show up, the earliest you can show up is 11 o'clock, because then gives the decorator 2 hours to get in and get situated before the next vendor comes in. And
That's true.
that's one of the biggest logistic I should say hard things to
Nightmares.
manage is managing, yeah, is managing when the vendors show up to set up.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I did a wedding in Augusta, and that was a scenario. Is we only had one door, but it was properly coordinated to where the actual decorator
Arrival
got in at
time.
9. I came in,
Mm-hmm.
right. I got there at 11, and we were able to smoothly go in and set up each other and go on each other's way. But most time, what happens is when you don't have that piece coordinated, then everybody's trying to bum rush and get into the door. And like I said, let's say if everybody has a truck and trailer, or a trailer or truck, you can't get all that stuff at that one location to
No.
download. So you have to coordinate a proper time to upload and download equipment. But that
That's
logistic
correct.
piece is very critical. That, believe it or not, that's what makes or breaks weddings, is making sure the timeline is met. Like, and I think that's like the common thing is the photographer drives it, because most times photographer is only hired for the short period of time, and that's problems for the timeline. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but that's the critical part. Let's see here. Ron says, okay, what is my okay?
The
Thank you
planner
for
had to
cocaine. What is
organize
Ron saying?
the time
Is it
frame,
not
the
showing
hall
up on
to
the
you, and
screen?
the bride and
There we
groom.
go. I
Yeah.
had to organize the time frame to all give to the bride, right? And most time you're trying to. That's the biggest piece, is you're trying to coordinate to where you don't have to pay for extra time.
Yeah. And we're gonna talk about that with the vendors thing we
All
talk
right.
about next
So
time.
next slide. Right. Okay. The responsibilities.
A wedding coordinator
A
is
wedding
responsible.
coordinator is responsible for
Oh,
a variety. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought you had me reading it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
A wedding coordinator is responsible for a variety of duties related to both planning and executing their client's wedding. Wedding coordinators often perform both creative and administrative tasks, such as making phone calls and handling paperwork. For instance, wedding coordinators respond to emails from clients and vendors while also managing the minute details of the ceremony, like the table arrangements. Um, a wedding coordinator provides expert support to a couple before and on their wedding day to make the event run as smoothly as possible. So, wedding coordinators are almost like your wedding personal assistant,
And
right?
bodyguard sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. And therapist. And I'm wait a minute, I'm talking too much. So anyway, but wedding coordinators basically they do come in near much closer to the wedding, and they actually make sure that things are going to they line things up properly. If there's no
Right.
communication between your coordinator and your vendors, then there's nothing that's getting aligned. um Coordinators can't just say, oh well, you can hire me to be your coordinator for your, I call it day of event management, other people call it day of coordinator, but they have to make an effort to speak to all of your vendors, be it your decorator, your vendor, your venue, your caterer, your DJ, your photographer, whoever. They need to get in touch with these people. That runs back to what the previous slide I was saying when I said they have to make sure they understand the contracts. They have to make sure they understand the time frames that the clients have already paid for, and make sure they fall within the realm of those time frames. Because what you don't want to do is have something go over the time frame they've booked the venue for, and it costs them extra money. That's something that you don't want to do. That's not a really good thing. Now, sometimes poor planning on the customer side, which is going to get me in trouble now, you can't adjust for that necessarily unless you've actually taken the time to find out what the time frame is. Some venues are 8 hours, some are 10, some are 12, some are all day from 9 a.m. to midnight.
Right.
And that's a 15-hour day. Whether you believe it or not, that literally that last one is like the best one that you allow time for everybody to get in and out accordingly. Right. But the importance of a wedding coordinator is that they alleviate some of the problems that you may have. They actually, if they are experienced and truly earning or deserving of that title of wedding coordinator, they know how to schedule everybody staggerly to come in. They know how to get everything done. So everybody be done at least 30 minutes before the start of the event. And then making sure that everything is done and cleaned up and out the door at the end of the night. But most wedding coordinators, I'll be honest with you, they don't stay the whole day. Some of them do. And I'm not knocking the ones that don't. I'm just saying some do and some don't. So make sure that you also understand the time frame that your wedding coordinator is going to be involved and present, because that's important. That keeps everybody on task.
And that's why it's important to understand their contract, because I've seen we have seen some detail. I've seen one that was extremely detailed on everything that was required, including down to the hotel room that they're staying in. And then I've seen some where they just says, I'm going to be your wedding coordinator. And that's it. It doesn't say definition, doesn't define anything. So it's critical that everyone understands that, because like I said, a good wedding coordinator will relieve a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
That's the primary focus point of hiring a wedding planner / coordinator across the board, is to make your day as enjoyable as possible. So that's why you're paying that extra money for that individual. Mm-hmm. But if you're in a situation where you're just as stressed out as you was before you hired him, then that means you hired somebody that didn't know how to do their job. So that's the key. If a person comes in and you're still stressing out, that means that as a planner / coordinator, they're not doing their job very well.
But
next slide.
But I also have to say this.
This is where we go into the duties.
There are some people that put themselves under stress that we can't control. So,
well, when you have a bridezilla or a groomzilla, there's nothing you control.
Yeah, then that's when you got issues.
I mean, that's the only thing. That's the only time that's when you got issues. There's nothing you can do about that. I don't care. You can be super coordinator, super planner, have a cape all the way down to your feet.
Okay,
it don't matter if you got a bridezilla or a groomzilla. That's not going to change anything.
No, it's not. It's not.
Here, the primary duties of a wedding coordinator include. Now, these are critical. These duties are pretty much the things that are going to relieve stress. If they do these correctly, they're going to catch. Most of the time, they're going to catch hiccups. And hiccups sometimes. What happens is the bride and groom will hire a vendor, and don't know all the details. Like they'll sit back, listen to a whole presentation, and completely forget everything you said within 5 minutes. So this is where, as a coordinator, you might have to go behind the group, because we all know clients are not familiar with what goes on.
Okay, so you ready?
Let's see. What Ron just say? He just said something. I just saw something pop up.
Oh, when a Godzilla bride. All right, Ron, I can't say it right now.
Well, go ahead.
All right, meeting with the couple.
Ron gonna get us in trouble.
Yeah, he is. Meeting with the couple a few weeks
before
the wedding.
Go ahead.
That's really important because you do want to sit down and get a full, complete understanding of their vision for their day, the activities for that weekend, the guests that they're expecting from out of town. If they wanted to do something like have gift bags at the hotel, like there's so many details that may not have been discussed in your first initial conversation prior to them hiring you, but there are meeting notes that you need to take. That's important. It's also finding out your list of vendors. If the name of those companies, the contact person, phone numbers, email, stuff like that, all of those things should be prepared. This is not just the coordinator, but the couple needs to have all these things ready to give to that coordinator.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, because
Absolutely. Because see,
you can't pick them
this
out
right
of
here,
the
this
air.
communication with vendors, right, to confirm logistics. Like I said, this again, the coordinator is just coming into this situation almost, let's say, at the most 60 days prior to the wedding day. So the
Mm-hmm.
vendors have probably been hired longer than that, and
Mm-hmm.
they probably pretty much forgot most of the stuff that they brought to their attention. So that's why it's important that they do pass on as much information as possible to the coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
because details make details will save your day if they have all the right details. When you don't provide the right details to the coordinator, as a customer, you're setting yourself up for failure, because a coordinator only can coordinate what they know.
That's correct.
If they don't know something, they can't coordinate it.
True. Very true. The next one is creating a comprehensive timeline and floor plans. When we say comprehensive timeline, we just kind of covered that a few seconds ago.
Right,
We're talking about, like Mario said, making sure we don't have a bottleneck trying to get in the same entrance door for all the vendors.
right.
The timeline also covers when your hair and makeup are supposed to arrive, if you're having that. Not everybody does it, but if you're having hair and makeup, that's an important concept, because the hairstylist and makeup artist, be it two, three, four people, they need to know what time they have to be there so they can get everybody's hair and makeup done on time. If you're having any deliveries done that day, be it a specialty table or um, maybe a food truck for cocktail hour, like all these things have to be planned out accordingly. Um, Even
Right.
like the cake arrival, if you have a decorator who got in at 9 a.m. and the event doesn't start till 3, what time should your cake decorator be there? What time should your cake designer be there?
Right.
Or if they're delivering it. And then also that entails, kind of rolls over to the floor plans. We were just talking about a floor plan this morning, or several floor plans actually this morning. Your floor plans are important because you really, as a coordinator, you have to understand where your DJ needs to be, where your bar needs to be, or your beverage table needs to be, where your setup or your food needs to be for the reception, where your couple should be, where your dance area needs to be, or dance room needs to be. You have to make it. Hey, Sumit. You have
Hey,
to
so
make
man.
it so
Hey.
that everyone is literally. You don't want to create bottleneck situations. One of the floor plans we were looking at earlier puts the DJ in a corner, which means the sound system is going to be right there on top of 2 or 3 tables of guests, which is going to make people like really not want to be there. So that you're going to
Right.
lose some guests that way. Two, it doesn't give the DJ proper
Line of
line of
sight.
sight, yeah, line of sight to the dance floor and to the couple to see all the major things that have to take place, or whatever things that are taking place, traditionals or non-traditionals, that night. And then also they put a table or like with refreshments on it where it's really right in between 2 guest tables, which is going to cause a bottleneck of people trying to get over there to whatever
Right.
that is. It's not, I'm saying that every guest is going to go right there at that moment, but you have to predict, you have to kind of plan for those kind of things. That's what the coordinator is supposed to be doing with you. And when you're
Hey,
looking
so
at
man.
that, when you're looking at that floor plan, that's important because the floor plan could also, uh, I guess, mess up the way things are going that day if you're not careful, because it could cause problems in how you set up the room. Next one is you.
Right. And the biggest part about the floor plan is you actually it has to be set up to where everything flows together.
Yes.
You can't, like, and this is one of the things, like I'll tell you about. We had, I sat down with bride and groom, or excuse me, with a bride, and we designed a floor plan without seeing, like, I didn't see the building. So then when I went to go see the building, the floor plan we designed, it didn't work because
Mm-hmm.
the building, of course, if you don't know what the building looks like and you design a floor plan, then you actually go see the features, then it's not going to flow correctly.
That's
So
right.
the biggest part is when you look at doing a floor plan, like I know like in school they taught us, um, the bride and groom or the head table should never be close to the main entrance,
That's correct.
because any areas where there's a lot of high traffic areas, um, you should not. Um, so he said when he was a play, okay, yeah, because he was doing weddings too. He was telling me all this time doing weddings. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like you have to. There's a lot of stuff that they teach us in school that you have to put the bride and groom in an area that is away from high traffic area.
That's correct.
And most of the time, I've seen it sometimes where the groom is right there by the main entrance. So that means every time somebody came in, it kind of it interrupted what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
It interrupted what was flowing. So you never ever put the main table or the direction of where everything's going to be taking place near a door entrance. Some of the other issues, of course, like some stuff is common sense. You don't put the food near the bathrooms.
Yeah, you would think,
I,
but you would think that. But
you would think that
you know how
that's
many
a
times
common
we've
sense
encountered
thing.
that
Yes,
it
quite a
don't
few times.
happen.
This year alone, I've actually encountered that a lot more where they're putting the food by the bathrooms. That doesn't make any sense to me. So
Like,
it's just like some of the floor plans. The floor plans, number one, it's important that you capture all the logistics for the floor plan, but at the
hmm
same time, the floor plan has to be able to flow and make sense.
yes, yes, I agree. I agree. Um, Completing a final checkup on the venues for the ceremony reception. Whew. Okay, so you've sat down with the clients, you've talked to all the vendors, you hopefully, and this is the wise thing to do, you've actually done a site visit at the venue, and now it's about 2 weeks out. I know for a fact Mario usually does his like
Tuesday,
virtual walkthrough the
right?
week
I did my
of
virtual. Yeah,
the event. Usually, as a coordinator, you should probably have your stuff ready before that so that you
right,
can coordinate with the venue and your vendors. I'm gonna tell you something. I know, and no disrespect intended, but your venue, your DJ, and your photographer are your three top vendors that you really need to make sure you have things coordinated with. I'm not saying that caterer is not important. I'm not saying that your videographer is not important. I'm not saying your decorator is not important. But those three people right there, plus your designers like in the middle. But those three people right there you need to make sure everything is accordingly because they can make or break the event. Meaning, if the venue, for instance, I said this before in another video that we did, but another podcast we did, but there was a time where we went to a venue and the person that was supposed to let us in the building didn't even show up, and we were waiting for over an hour and a half waiting. I mean, it was like an hour and 35, hour and 40 minutes waiting for this person to show up. And we were calling, calling, calling. And finally the person showed up. And then the statement was, oh, I forgot. But we still now we lost almost 2 hours of time to get ourselves set up and ready for an event that was coming up. The event was that day. So things like that can happen. And I'm not saying that that person was awful in the words, but I'm just saying if you don't do your follow-ups, like you could actually be reminding somebody of something. I know for a fact there's a friend of mine who, in the midst of us doing one thing, was reminded that he had to be somewhere else at the same time on a weekday, and went, "Oh shoot, I forgot about this." Things like that happen because we're human. But you, as a coordinator, it is your job to make sure that everybody is aware of where they're supposed to be and everybody's reminded where they're supposed to be, and do your final checks on placement of everybody. If you've done the floor plan and the DJ has not followed up with you and the caterer has not followed up with you, follow up with them to make sure
right.
that your placement of their location is accurate for what they need to do. And one thing to keep in mind, and I'm gonna say this for especially for DJs, make sure when you place your DJ, you're paying attention to wall plugs. Please. They need power. And you
Well,
would
see,
say that's common sense, but it may not be
it's,
something that crosses everybody's mind.
right.
That's just one of
And
the
I
things
think that's one
you
of
be looking at.
And I think that's because I was gonna save mine for the DJ portion, but that's one of the biggest disconnects that I think that's one of the reasons why the most of the time the DJs are upset with the wedding planners, wedding coordinators, is
Mm-hmm.
because in most cases they always put us in the worstest location And it's not even and to me is I get it. You know, you're trying to paint this beautiful picture, but that one picture will cost you to lose out on resources and logistics if you don't include it in. And I think that's the biggest part with the
Mm-hmm.
DJ. And I think that's why I say I think every wedding planner, every wedding coordinator should have some degree of information on a DJ setup, because that is my biggest disconnect with a lot of coordinators and planners is that they always put the DJ in the worstest place. The actual DJ, and this just is, I mean, to me, it's common sense.
Yeah,
The
but then
DJ plays.
yeah.
No, I mean, no, I'm about to say this. The DJ plays the music for the people to dance on the dance floor.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you think the DJ be at? Close to the dance floor. That to
But
me is the
again,
most common sense thing. The
you would
DJ
think,
should
but it's
always
not.
be by the dance floor.
Yep.
But it's like what happens most of the time is they say, well, the music, as long as they're able to hear the music, they can dance. But we don't know what we're doing if we can't see them. I mean, that's the part I just to this day it kills me every time I see it. Is I always see where someone decides to put the DJ way across the room, away from the dance floor. Like they put us, I call it the timeout corner. They put us in the timeout corner because we must have done something bad, and we're supposed to figure out what's going on. Most time when you put us in a corner or away from the dance floor, we don't know what's going on. We have loose line
That's
of
right.
sight. We can't see what's going on. So how are we supposed to meet our cues and stuff if we can't see nothing?
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm gonna wait till DJ because it's not my
Oh, we
week.
got a
But
whole list for that one.
yeah, we
Um,
got a whole bunch of lists with that. But going back to here, the biggest thing, and I like this next one here is managing the rehearsal.
no, we skipped
Whew.
addressing any overlooked details.
Oh, I thought that's what we covered. Okay.
Oh, we kind of just did cover. We just didn't say it out
Yeah,
loud. Yeah.
right. But
So
managing
managing
the
the rehearsal.
rehearsal. Let me
You
say
take
this.
that
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this one because I've seen it. I have seen where a rehearsal will take 30 to 45 minutes, and I've seen where a rehearsal will take 2 hours.
one. Mm-hmm.
The biggest disconnect I've seen is you do not wait till time the day of the rehearsal and decide to have a conversation with the bride and groom in front of the family about the rehearsal. What's going to happen is you're going to get everybody's opinion, and that
Sometimes,
wedding rehearsal,
even though you don't have a conversation, you get everybody's opinion.
right? You're going to get everybody's opinion. But normally, a good coordinator is able to get in and be done with a wedding rehearsal within an hour. Within an hour, they're actually able to rehearse it twice within 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only if everybody shows up and if the family follows instructions.
Here's my thing. Outside of any kids that they might have in your wedding, the rest of these folk are adults. You adults, and I'm talking directly to participants in these weddings. You adults, y'all can chit chat and talk when we're done. Can we just get in and do this rehearsal? Because what a lot of times y'all don't understand is either the clients had to pay for this time or they're only allotted a certain amount of time to be on the site to do rehearsals. We
Right.
don't get 3 hours to play around in a place because you got to think about it. They had to get somebody to be there while we're there to
Right.
open up and then to lock up after we leave. You have to be more like what's the word, courteous of
Right.
other people.
Absolutely.
You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? So it is frustrating to me that we're dealing with a group of adults who, number one, won't listen, won't follow instructions, too busy wanting to chit chat and conjugate. Listen, y'all can do that at the hotel, y'all can do it at so and so house. Not what we're doing this. Be considerate of the time frame that we're giving you. We're giving you 6 to 7 for rehearsal. That don't mean show up at 6:25.
Right.
You just gonna
That and
look
that's the
crazy
biggest
tomorrow.
disconnect. Most of the time is that's the biggest disconnect is that people don't show up on time. Time management is a critical thing when it comes to being a wedding coordinator. And I get it. The wedding coordinator only could do but so much. They can't make a person magically appear.
True.
Um, if people don't show up on time, most of the time what the coordinator is going to do is they're going to move forward
Yeah.
regardless if that person here. They just have to figure it out later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that is probably one of the hardest jobs for a coordinator is to manage a rehearsal, and sometimes they got to pull out that whip and whip people into position.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the most challenging portion of it. Now, most of my coordinators that I know are like drill sergeants. Oh, that's not going to be a problem.
Bring it here.
So
I'm sorry. These phones are going bananas right now. They're driving me crazy. I'm trying to turn the volume off.
let's see.
Oh my gosh, they are just going crazy. But I feel you on that because people are just I don't know. I just get frustrated because I feel like it's very rude to not um give them the proper, courtesy. Again,
Right.
you don't know, like when people get there and they're showing up right at 5 o'clock, rehearsal starts at 5 o'clock. At 5:05, I'm introducing myself. I've already introduced myself, and we're getting lined up. I don't have time. And then a lot of times I give out name tags. If I have too big of a group, I'll give out name tags for that. But across the board, I need people to be more concerned with being respectful of what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
And and the thing that's so sad about this situation is that at this point in time, for all of us that are not connected with the family, we can see the ones that are jealous of the person get married because they're the ones that don't want to follow instructions. They're the ones that want to, they're pretty much going out of the way to be disrupt, like kind of like disruptive
Disruptive.
throughout the whole process,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of pick up on that. We try not to get into the weeds of it, but we kind of understand what's going on in some cases. And then most time the customers give us a warning on it too.
Believe it or not, I've even had a bride who told me I could NFL tackle her mama during
Right.
during the reception if she got a hold of the microphone. I mean, it's you guys would be amazed some of the stuff that we're told. And trust me, if we pick up on two or three names off gate, it's because we've heard something about y'all before we got there. I promise you that.
Right. So here,
Sorry. Next thing.
next thing is, I mean, we're just sharing our experiences.
Hmm.
But the next thing here is, I said, wedding coordinators are accountable for the entire ceremony, so they possess excellent communications and follow up skills. This, I mean, I'm again, I can't. I'm not going. I can't put that all on the wedding coordinator because wedding coordinator has to deal with human beings, and anytime you have to deal with human beings, sometimes it can be difficult. So if we rehearse, like I said, that's the whole purpose of rehearsing things. The day of, there should not be any like episodes where people are asking questions. What do I need to do? Um, Normally, the wedding
Not
coordinator is
the day
going to
of.
tell you, right? Not the day of. Wedding coordinator at this point in time is getting y'all to execute. So the wedding
Hmm.
coordinator, it should be everything should go smoothly because you already had a rehearsal and then you have someone there to direct you. So normally it goes like it goes accordingly. And then what we always say is if something happens, pretend like it's part of it and keep it moving.
That's right.
So if you fall, make it look smooth and then get up and keep it moving.
Tuck and roll. Tuck and roll. Sorry.
Then it says the multitasking is also crucial because wedding coordinators may have to deal with an arena of duties,
Mhm.
simulations such as coordinating with the caterers, which we talked about that. You were just talking
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. And that, like, we're not, I was saying this earlier, like, if you don't tell the coordinator that there's an issue or whatever, we don't have eyes in the back of our head. We usually, you got two people that are coordinating. So you've got somebody that's the lead and somebody that's the assistant. But the truth be told, it is a really serious multitasking type of job. That's why
Yes.
logistics are so important with everything that you do as a coordinator.
And it's also important if you have professionals, if a coordinator is able to work with professionals, it makes their job so much easier
Hmm.
versus if they have to meet with some or go with someone who's not familiar with it. If you get cousin Junebug to DJ and cousin Junebug is not used to doing stuff in a warm in a wedding format, then that's more time that coordinator has to spend with that. Can they do it? Yes, most likely they will be able to work cousin Junebug into shape and to what to do, but that's more work that they have to focus on.
That's true. That's true. Ooh, which makes our job even more hard. But okay. So what's the next one?
Now, here comes the slide that's going to get us in trouble right here. This is the one that's going to get us in trouble.
Are you reading it?
The, You can read it. Look. I'll read the title. Difference between a wedding coordinator and a wedding planner.
Okay, listen carefully. Wedding planners handle all the details of the wedding. That does not mean that we pick all of your vendors, that we make the decision on all of your colors. We handle the details of the wedding from the beginning to the end, meaning from the first vendor being hired, the first venue visit, all the way to everybody's out the venue at the end of the night, the day of your event. Some wedding planners also help with the creative details of the wedding day by offering styling or design services. That would be like there are some planners who also are certified event designers or event decorators. That happens as well. Then there's some that actually know how to design but may not know how to execute it. It just kind of depends on the situation. Um, Wedding planners charge more for their services, whereas wedding coordinators help couples out, help couples who are working on stringent budgets. Now, that's important to a certain degree with me too, because as a wedding planner, if I'm planning your wedding, that's a lot of admin work, a lot of research, a lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings, a lot of note taking, a lot of site visits. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. So, of course, as a wedding planner, when I have that hat on, my prices are going to be much higher. If I'm coming in as your wedding coordinator, it's much less responsibility because a lot of those decisions and that legwork, as they call it, has been done already by you. And I'm coming in to kind of rail it, just rail it all together and make sure it all comes together like it's supposed to. In comparison, the role of a wedding coordinator is to help with the planning process a few weeks before the wedding day. They often assist couples who don't have a wedding planner. Couples usually book wedding coordinators several months in advance, but others may hire a wedding coordinator closer to the date of their event. So, of course, they're going to cost a little bit less than a planner would.
Right. And nowadays, it depends. Again, it depends on the level of your wedding. If you're going, and I always tell people this: if you got a lot of moving parts in your wedding, it
Mm-hmm.
is extremely important to hire a wedding planner. If you're doing a very, very simple wedding day, then you can get away with using a wedding coordinator.
Yeah.
Um, the more stuff that you have going, the more moving parts will determine what type of person you need
Mm-hmm.
to help assist if you want to hire somebody to assist. And I
Now,
always tell
explain what
people,
you mean by moving parts.
like, if you, let's say, for example, if you got um, for your wedding ceremony, you got 200 plus people showing up for your wedding day. You got a harp, a soloist. You got the security where they come in. They got like the little kids coming in on a power wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a lot of different. That's not outside your normal wedding ceremony. Those are the type of things you need an actual wedding planner,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a lot of logistics that's going on behind the scenes for that to happen. If you're just like I said, if it's just you and the groom and maybe a best man and matron of honor or maid of honor, and that's it, that's different. But if you got 36 people in your bridal party,
Oh,
like
Lord.
I've seen a wedding, that's the biggest bridal party I've ever seen. They had 36 people in their bridal party. Um, that is a killer for logistics. That's a lot of people to manage.
Yeah, a ton.
So that's what it means. There's 36 for the ceremony. That's 36 for the reception that you have to manage on top of the guests
Mm-hmm.
that are coming in as well. So
And the
that's
vendors.
and the vendors, because then, like, let's say for example, and this is one of the things I've seen. If you have, let's say, your typical wedding day, you have what, maybe 4 or 5 vendors,
Yeah,
about 4 or 5 vendors. But if you got a wedding and you got 12 vendors,
which I've seen that too.
you're gonna need some, like, you're gonna need a coordinator or a planner. I mean, I highly recommend a planner, but you're definitely gonna need a coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
So those are, like I said, when you have a lot of parts, then yeah. But if you're doing a simple traditional wedding that's not a lot of logistics in place, and
Mm-hmm.
let's say you got the whole, let's say the do-it-yourself weddings, most of the time the logistics is all family orientated. Everybody
Yeah.
knows everybody. Um, sometimes that might be a good time to get a planner or coordinator because the family is going to override them or
Too many
try to override
opinions.
them anyway. Right.
Hmm.
Too many opinions. So to me, it's like if you hire a professional, you need a professional to manage them. If you hire family, then family, you can't. I don't care how professional they are, you can't manage family. That's just
Mm-mm.
you're setting that coordinator planner up for failure.
Boom.
So, whew, I think we
I think
made
we
it
got to that
safely.
part
We still,
pretty good.
yeah, we got to that part really good. So I think we're good. But I
We
think
were a little worried about that one.
right, and I think this is why, and I think this is the part that you would think that the wedding planner slash coordinator is one of the number one vendors, but to me, it's shocking that it's number 13 on the list.
Hmm.
Um, and it's I think that's what it is that like on the list, and what's so crazy is the number one vendor that is required for all weddings is the photographer. I think the wedding planner is number 13. The DJ is like number 7. So when you look at the list, it's the photographer, venue, caterer, and then decorator are the primary vendors. So we're as we go through this the month of April, we're going to talk about all of them. But um, Ron asked me, Ron, if you go to the actual I guess I'll get the link and I'll send it to you. But here, what they do is they do a survey. They have this survey that they have couples fill out, and this survey it kind of like ranks all the different vendors and different things. And so far, for the last 3 years, the number one vendor that is hired across the board for all weddings is the photographer. Um, I think, like I said, from there it goes. The numbers go down and then so it goes like photographer, which I would think the venue would be the number one, but it's actually photographer in the series. So it's like photographer. After the photographer, it's the venue. After the venue, it's the caterer. After the caterer, it's the decorator. And then it gets kind of crazy after that because then cake designing comes in, and then like the DJ slash band is towards the band. But like, what kills me though is the coordinator planner is at the very end of that list, and that to me is kind of crazy because it will relieve a lot of people of stress. But nowadays, a lot of customers are not hiring planners or coordinators.
I just sent you one. I can't since I can't post anything on the
So that's
comments.
just something.
I just sent you a link to one that gives you a whole nother order.
Yeah, I
And
think
on
this
this
is this
one,
is one of the ones I use. Right.
okay, because I still think this one is out of order myself because um they have the DJ is like the caterer's number 11. The DJ is number, let's see, where are you? Way down at Music Pros. At
So
number, what
yeah,
is
this
that?
is a
8?
different one. Yeah, because I said most depends on which one you look at. The DJ is always number 7, 8.
Yeah.
It's always the D. Excuse me,
But
DJ
number
slash
one, still
band
the same thing, photographer.
is always around 7 or 8. Photographer has always been number one across the board for the last 3 years.
Hmm.
Attire, I've never seen that. That's the first time I've ever seen attire on the list.
Oh
Um,
yeah, is
yeah,
hers important?
it's important, but that's the first time I've ever seen it on the list. So I guess
Oh yeah, okay, okay.
it's a
I get
critical,
this
but like
one.
see here, and so here on this list, the wedding planner is number 3. And let me
Which
share
it
this
really
because
depends on who you ask, who you're
right,
talking to. It really just depends. But I think that honestly, if you're planning at least a year in advance, I think a wedding planner should be hired in the beginning because honestly, a really a true experienced and knowledgeable wedding planner, not just Miss Susie from the church. I'm just saying, could literally probably has a lot of contacts and connections in the industry, in your region, in your area, and actually know um, who could fit in your budget. You know what I'm saying? Because one of the first things I ask clients about is what is your budget for your event? And I'm talking about everything, the venue, photography, rings, dress. If you're including all of that in your budget, then I need to know what your budget is so we can kind of help you break down your actual budget. You see what I'm saying on this one, how it says photographer first? Most of them say photographer first. Then come down, it says venue,
And then
and then
also,
it says planner.
and most of the time, if you actually get into the number game, you can see where this changes because, like in this case, these are weddings that are more high profile. This is like your top 10% weddings. Just your top 10 budget weddings, the ones that have the most
Mm-hmm.
money spent on them. So
Mm-hmm.
then they have the money to spend on these things. So that's the biggest piece is the money, how much people like. Because if you go back and look at, because this is Wedding Wire, which of course, Wedding Wire,
Yeah.
the numbers are going to change because Wedding Wire is more of a professional level of wedding coordination.
Mm-hmm.
So the wedding planner is a key portion of that. Where if you go to and you look at the survey to where you look at the overall, like people having weddings, then the numbers are going to change because the budget changed. But this right
Yeah.
here, I can tell you right off the bat by looking at this reflects weddings that are like they're spending over $25,000 for their wedding day easily. Weddings that are lower in cost, the numbers are going to change.
Of course. But I was just giving you another one to,
That's
to post right
the
then,
biggest part
since
because
Ron was asking about like where'd you get this from? So I was just snatching one real quick so you could share, like,
right
because we do
because
our research.
this kind of goes in.
Did you just
Because
freeze
see,
up?
like here, this is based off of people who use Wedding Wire.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well,
like
and
most
that's
time, when a
true,
person
but
using
I was
Wedding
just
Wire, they have a very
different from a vision. I
this
got
is
you, but I was
good
just giving
because
you a
it kind
list
of
to kind of post
right.
real quick. And the reason, also the other reason behind that, Mara, was because people don't do their
Because
research. And we talk about that all the time. People do not do their research
right,
into
and this
these.
is the thing that this right because actually this number, I mean this is accurate because, like I said, the cake baker is ahead of your entertainment, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the part that catches my attention is that the cake baker, and it doesn't matter what list you look at, the cake baker, like the cake baker, the caterer, or some of
No,
the
the caterer is
key
down below
people that make
on this
things
one.
work.
Hair, makeup.
Right.
It's
That's why
prioritized by the bride more
I'm
than
looking
likely,
at
because that's the things that she's
the
worried
caterer,
about.
which is
The caterer and the florist are below you, or below that. They're the florist. Here go your music.
right. That's why and then the caterer is low.
Stationery, you would
But
think,
like
be further
here,
up
and
because they got to get the invitations out.
I'll make a point here. The stationary, that's just and see, this is not really um see stationary and attire never don't exist on the other list that I've
But
seen.
they do exist when it comes to the planner side of things, because a
What
lot
they're
of
like
times we have to
here, like
coordinate for the tuxedos. Sometimes we go dress shopping with our brides. You know what I'm saying? Stationery is important because you got to figure out what the invitation is going to look like, the RSVPs, the enclosure cards, the hotel accommodation
yeah,
should have been one
that,
of them.
that's
Yeah.
but see, most of the time the stationary, like I said, stationary normally falls into one of the other arenas. It never falls out by itself. You never go to someone and hire
It's
somebody just for
always separate.
stationary.
It's
Normally,
always separate
station
in my world, because that could be the
right. But I'm
invitation, that
saying
could be
because most of the time,
cards, that could be all that kind of stuff.
but most of the
I guess
time,
maybe
what
it's on
is
the
that? What
graphic
I'm saying is
design.
that a wedding coordinator, wedding planner, or a decorator normally offers to cover down for stationary. I've never seen stationary by itself.
Oh, no, it's a separate entity, period. Even if we offer it as a service, it's a separate service, more than likely. It's not an inclusive
Right. What I'm
service.
saying is a
Yeah.
stationary is not a vendor. Is what I'm
Yes,
getting
it
at.
is.
It's not. It doesn't really. It's not a direct vendor. It's not.
Yes, it is. I know people that only do graphic design stationery. I know
No, no,
people
no,
that
no. I
only
get
did
that part.
the
But what I'm
yeah.
saying
So
is
they're
that
separate entities.
they're a separate entity, but you don't, as a vendor, they're not included in the list. This is the first time I've ever seen stationery included on the list.
Oh, they're always on my list. It's well, that's
But
on my
it's
list
a
because
difference
some clients
because
can get them on their own. But then, like, I have a
you
girl that does calligraphy. I have two, well, actually, a guy
right
and a girl
because
that do calligraphy on
that's
art.
what I'm saying is that right. That's what I'm saying. It's not a it's one of those things that's not really a high commodity as a vendor because
Oh
as a
no,
vendor,
mm-mm.
there's a lot more part. That's what I'm saying is that a stationery is not something that like in this list. I understand it's important, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's not considered like for example, like let's say for florists, a
Because you can go
florist
to
only exists if
Zazzle
you
and
have
design your stationery on Zazzle right now. You can go to Canva
right.
and design your stationery. You can go to Fiverr and design your stationery. So I get what
So,
you're
but
saying, but I'm just saying across the board it is one of the entities you have to cover. It's one of those. Remember the details we were talking about earlier. The
because
overlooked
like
details is one of the overlooked details.
right, because to me, to say stationery is more important than catering,
I think that's completely
that's what
insane.
I'm saying. That's why I think this is kind of right because it's like okay, we can't eat paper. Just
But
saying, we
it's
can't eat
usually at the
paper.
top of
Paper is
the
not
list
that
because they're
important.
picking them out so early. It's usually higher up the list because they're picking them out earlier than they are the caterer. When I think you should be looking at your venue and then your caterer. Then because those are usually your higher dollar number items
So
that
I mean,
vendors
it's
that you need, and then your photographer. Then then from
but
there, I have my
from
order is a little bit different in my mind
it's only
anyway.
based off of who uses waiting wire.
Yeah,
Right.
but it just
So,
amazes me
but
that
like,
cake
because
designers
if you go
are
to
and the
Wedding
florist
Pro,
is before the
it's going
food.
to be completely right. Because see, before cater, like in all the other lists I've seen in the past, the venue and the caterer and decorator are all right there together. They're always within the top five.
We're basing that
Wedding
on the
planner
order
for
that
Wedding Wire
brides
is
pick
Wedding
them, or
Planet.
wait, are we basing that on the order that brides should pick them, or the order that brides do pick them?
No, this is the order that Wedding Wire that they what like what people hire going through Wedding Wire.
Mm-hmm.
So when they go through Wedding Wire, the primary things they get from Wedding Wire is the photographer's the number one, the
Yeah,
venue is the
but I'm
number
saying,
two.
but the order
Plan,
of this,
that's
let's forget the fact that it's on Wedding Wire. Let's take that off the table because we're
right.
not promoting them
No,
at
no,
all.
that's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying
That's
is,
the, right.
but are we just kind of recommending that? Are we recommending that brides should start from this particular point or from that particular point? Or are we understanding that sometimes, let's
No, no, no,
say,
no. This
I'll
is
have
just
brides
this
that don't care about cake,
to me.
and the cake designer may be the last person on their list. Is that what we're
Right.
saying?
And so that's why I say
Okay,
it's more based on the way you're going to do your wedding. This is only based on
personal
who's
preference.
hired, who's hired through their site. Um,
Yeah, I know.
that's it's not yeah. Like I said, like and I agree. Right. Wedding Wire is not a good site, a good source because I mean, and this is one of the things that I found over the years. Wedding Pro to not their primary focus is to make money.
Yeah,
They're not trying to do what's been the best interest of the customer. Is it's just it's
true.
not it's just one of those things to where based off of this information, this is what customers go to their site to hire.
Hmm. But here's the thing
Is they
about
go
them.
to wedding plans, they go to hire.
Yeah,
Um, they
but here's the big thing about Wedding Wire, and I'm going to say this for all the potential customers and vendors that may be thinking about it. Listen, 15 years ago or so, maybe 18 years ago, Wedding Wire was a good source because they actually cared about serving the clients. But I'm gonna tell you something. Every single vendor you see listed on there, except for the ones that are under the ones that just have their name and maybe a phone number, or whatever. All of the ones where they got the pictures and the albums, they pay for that. They pay for those rankings. So you're not getting the best wedding
right.
planner. You're not getting the best DJ. You're not getting the best photographer. You're just getting the one that paid out the most money. That's all. Just keep that in mind. You went beyond my article.
Say that again. You was breaking up. Say that again. You
I know. So you went beyond the article because you was down
No,
to
no,
how
you.
many wedding vendors do you need? I'm like, no, 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 we don't need that part.
Oh no, no, I was trying because you was breaking up, so I was trying to close some stuff to where you
Oh,
wasn't breaking
got you,
up
got you.
because you sound like a transformer coming through. So I think that's because I had that thing up to where you couldn't really you were saying something, but you was breaking up real bad.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. That's why I said
Better
let me
now.
close a couple of things because it was going through. But I think overall, like to me, um, my experience with Wedding Wire, Wedding Pro, the Knot, their primary focus is to gain money from advertisement, and so it's like some of their information is good information, but most of the time it's driven to promote the vendors that's on their site.
That are
That's
paid the
that
most money to
that
be on the
pays them
site.
money, right? So I
Hmm.
agree. Wedding Wire is not one of technically the best sources when it comes to some information.
Which is
But they
now
do,
Wedding Wire, the Knot, and Wedding Pro. They're all the
right.
same thing
They're all the same thing, pretty much.
now. Hmm.
But yeah, but see this right here, I said, "Woo, we got through it." We're still standing. I mean, I ain't got no bullet holes in me.
Look, I'm looking around. I close my
I
shades.
don't see nobody. I don't see nobody with no red dots or nothing coming
No,
in.
no. Which they would
Um,
blend in with me because I got on red. Lord, I would wear red today, wouldn't I? Oh goodness. Okay. But I
but
think we
that's
did
the
good
biggest.
today. We did good
But
today.
the
And thank
biggest.
everybody for chiming in with the comments, especially you, Ron. I love you, but you make me laugh so much whenever you're
Yeah,
on
he does.
here.
He be going. He be going in. He be like Ron, you're trying to no, 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 don't tell him that. But the biggest piece though is like people have to understand is that not every wedding is going to be the same.
No.
That is one of the biggest pieces that the vendors, and this is one, and it's not the customer, it's the vendors that have a hard time with that.
Hmm.
Is you have to keep an open mind and you have to be understandable. You'll have one customer that comes in, they want all the bells and whistles,
Hmm.
and then you'll have another customer that come in, all they want to do is walk down the aisle, say I do, and then party. I mean, so we as vendors have to understand that we can't. And this is the thing I see a lot is people get in their comfort zone of doing weddings, and
But
some
this
of
is
the
a
wedding
consumer
planners,
kind of industry, though. People need to
huh,
learn that.
right?
This is not a
And
consumer
that's
industry.
what I'm getting to is that when it comes to wedding planners, um, a lot of old time wedding planners that have been in the business for a long time, um, they get stuck because they are so used to doing it a certain way.
Very true.
And nowadays, weddings are changing so like when you're doing a lot more non-traditional type wedding stuff now.
Yes, a lot
Um,
more.
I mean, you got lightsaber weddings where they're doing Jedi's and they're dressing up in Star Wars costumes. You got the Beauty and
Yep.
the Beast. You got the Cinderella.
And the
So
Halloween theme, that was one of my
the
favorite ones.
Halloween thing. Oh yes, you got that. You got the where the what was it the Walking of the Dead. I thought
Yes,
that wedding kind of blew my mind. I mean, if you haven't seen these, a lot of these weddings that I'm talking about, if you go to YouTube and just search for these type of weddings, all of them are there. You'll see all the different type of non-traditional weddings.
yeah.
I seen one where everybody is a the comic book wedding where everybody has to come
Oh,
dressed
yeah,
in
the
as
superhero
a comic
one.
book character.
Yeah.
So we as vendors have to learn how to adapt to these changes. So you
Hmm.
got two choices: you can adapt or you can retire.
Yeah.
So or you can just choose not to do those type of weddings.
Hmm.
Um, but that's one of those things to where we have to understand the vision of the customer is the most important factor, and we have to learn how to not only understand that vision but to enhance that vision.
Hmm.
um, that thing that is sometimes becoming very difficult because there's so much more off to offer and that darn Pinterest that
And Instagram and TikTok.
yeah, that Pinterest is the devil. No. But,
It is, except for when I get clients that create a Pinterest page and we share it and I can see stuff they put in there, then that's when I love it. But otherwise, I hate Pinterest. Like, but I get it. But again, it's just and this episode series that we're doing, which is about the wedding vendors, is more so to educate potential clients, educate newcomers in that field or in our field across the board, and also to let you guys know that there are going to be differences between every client, because no two clients have I ever had that were exactly the same. And I've
Right.
been in this industry almost 24 years. I've never had two identical clients, not a
And
once.
and the reason we chose to do wedding planner, wedding coordinator first is because if you hire a wedding plan coordinator, they are your leader. They are the ones that
Hmm.
are going to lead the team. They are the quarterback of the team.
They are.
And so that's why we chose to do wedding coordinator, wedding planning first, is because if there is one, that everyone's going to follow that lead. And
Hmm.
so they are the most critical portion of that person that's going to communicate your vision to the vendors.
That's right.
So we started there, and then we're going to break it down in different orders. But this to us is the most crucial portion of that person that's supposed to take the lead of the team for when it comes to weddings.
Hmm.
Wait a minute, what did Ron say? Ron tried to get us in trouble. The whole part is all vendors are, excuse me, all vendors use our experience, and a lot of rental companies do design work and do everything, and will become a team from. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
that's true.
that's true. So, I mean, again, this is just is to educate people, and I think what to me the biggest problem we're having over the last couple of years is there's so many bad assumptions out there,
Mm.
uh, to where the only way we can beat assumptions is to educate people. And I know, like I've been telling Tish, this is like ever since me and Tish met, like my biggest thing is we need to educate, educate, educate,
Hmm.
educate, because the only way we're going to beat assumptions is we take time out to educate people on what's the process supposed to be.
And plus, customers need to understand to be comfortable to just ask questions. I have been told that I can come off very aggressively, because
Yes, Joe Sergeant.
I get excited about things, and I get, animated and whatnot. But here's the thing. I get so animated because I love this field. I love this industry. And even if I get a phone call for somebody looking for a venue, I'm quick to say, okay, how many people are in what city you're in? And I try to direct them to the right place. The biggest thing that we want to make sure everybody does is not just the education of potential clients, but also to have a better understanding of the vendors you're going to be working with, because you guys really need to understand researching, educating yourselves. And if you're not going to do research, we can help you with some of that stuff, but also ask questions. Questions are not dumb. I am the mother of two special needs children that are now adults, and I tell them all the time, if you don't understand something, ask a question.
Right.
Just ask. And that applies to everybody. Ask questions, and you'll get so much more. That don't assume that what you saw on TikTok 2 weeks ago was accurate. That might have just been that situation. You got to ask these questions so that you can learn more. What did
What?
he?
What he just say? DJ get 5,000 right off the top from their budget. The first thing I tell the bride.
Oh my lord!
Robbie, looking out for the DJ.
Ron is definitely down for the DJ. What do you charge for the planners though? I'm just
Well, he
anyway.
is the planner. He is the planner.
Oh, okay, that's what's happening. Okay,
He is the planner.
woo. But
Love it.
that's it. So you guys, thank y'all for joining us today. Thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate your support, and we'll be back next Wednesday.
Absolutely. And next Wednesday we're going to
Continue our series.
continue our series with the different types of vendors and things like that. So hey, we'll see y'all next time. Y'all be safe. And tune in. Like I said, I know we're gonna be popping in and out. And then, like I said, I know y'all keep up with my work, keep up with Tish's work. We like I said, it's about to get busy for us because, like I tell people all the time, normally this is what happens is we start doing good with the shows on Monday, January, February, March, and then when April hits, then we all go to work and we have to take a break away from doing all the shows. So we're going to try to keep this as much as possible.
Yep.
Because
We're
I
going to
know,
try to keep it between 10 and 11 a.m. on Wednesdays.
right. Because
We'll do
most
our
of the
best.
time, because I know this is my first year. I actually got a wedding on a Thursday, so it's like, ooh, it's interesting. But again, y'all take it easy. We'll see y'all next time. And until then, Tish, bye.
Bye, everybody.